Okay, welcome to the Harold L. Drimmer Library and the library's Mythbusters podcast. This is the first podcast at the library, and we are excited to set the record straight about the library and share some surprisingly interesting facts with you. I'm your host, Josh Weber. I've been a librarian here at WCC for 11 years. Join me in welcoming my co-host, Tawanda Mathurin.
I am so excited to be here. I'm the library department chair, and I've been a librarian at WCC for over 20 years, and it has been a rewarding experience serving communities in the public library and students at WCC.
Thank you, Professor Mathurin. Now we're pleased to welcome our guests, Amber Escoto and Ezekiel Watts.
Hello, I'm Amber Escoto. I'm a communication media arts student, and I'm also the TA for TV studio production. I'll be producing and being a guest on today's podcast, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ezekiel Watts. I'm a communications and media arts student, and I am a new student worker at the library.
Thank you.
We're so happy that you're able to join us for this first podcast, and we're looking forward to today's discussion.
Thank you both for sharing. Are you ready to get started?
Ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Good.
I'm really excited.
Okay. Before we begin, Professor Mathurin is going to share a brief history about libraries.
Thank you, Professor Weber. Okay, so the earliest libraries date back to around 2500 BC in Mesopotamia, where clay tablets writings were collected in temple archives. So they didn't even have books, it was on temple tablets. The writings were primarily used for administrative, legal, and economic purposes. These were not public collections, but exclusive repositories for scribes and the elite. Over time, the scope of Mesopotamian collections broadened to include history, literature, science, and religious texts. One of the most famous libraries was the Library of Alexandria in Egypt. Have you heard of that library?
I have.
Yeah.
It gets brought up a lot in like myths and like I like a lot of nonfiction, so they'll bring it up a lot, like the Lost Library of Alexandria.
Yes. So it served as a research center, attracting scholars and housing immense number of scrolls on various subjects. It was believed that its decline is attributed to fires, Christian conflicts, and the Muslim conquest, eventually leading to its complete disappearance and loss of its vast collection. They wanted to collect knowledge from all over the world, which was very ambitious of them. During the Middle Ages, most libraries were housed in monasteries where monks preserved religious and classical texts by hand copying manuscripts, and these libraries were usually not public as access was restricted to clergy and scholars. So if this was a monastery, it wouldn't have access to resources and information.
Weren't like monks and stuff the only ones that were literate at the time?
And that's a major part of why these places were restricted to the elite or religious leaders, because literacy was an issue during those times. However, segueing to that point, the invention of the printing press in the mid-15th century, books became more widely available and libraries expanded beyond manuscripts. And manuscripts are printed, handwritten documentations, not as we have it today in text format. Universities and royal courts also established significant libraries like the Vatican libraries. In the mid-17th and 18th century, public libraries emerged to fulfill the growing need for accessible information and to support a more educated citizenry in the 18th and 19th centuries. That was driven by, now we have rising literacy rates and the belief that an informed public was essential for a strong democracy, right? So everyone had to be aware and informed. And then in the U.S., Benjamin Franklin helped to establish one of the first public subscriptions libraries in 1731, and later philanthropists such as Andrew Carnegie. Have you heard of Andrew Carnegie?
Yes, I have. I was really into history in high school. I was in AP history, and so we learned a lot about monopolies and like Andrew Carnegie and like all those like guys. So yeah.
Yes. So he wasn't only really a businessman. He actually helped to establish many of the libraries that we have today. So he founded the buildings of thousands of free public libraries worldwide in the late 19th and 20th century, leading to where we are today. So, however, the libraries of yesterday are not the libraries of today. But unfortunately, some people think or perceive or perceptions have not changed. So Amber, what do you think about libraries? What comes to mind when you think about libraries?
For me, libraries are they're a place of community for me. Throughout high school, me and my friends after school would go to the waterfront library near my high school, and we would just hang out there. We would talk to the librarians, go to the teen rooms and hang out and read books together. And like the teen section always had a lot of YA, and I love like romance and adventure books. So like I would go there and I would like sit there and have fun with my friends or read. And they even had like TVs inside of like the teen rooms. So for me, like libraries aren't just a place for reading and like studying and stuff. They're a place where people can be together. And also the library that I went to as a teenager had a lot of events, and it was a communal space where there was a lot of activities. Like our library had like a theater room. There was even like we would have like community events with fashion shows, or the mayor would have events in our library. So like having a big library is like a really big part of my childhood, and like hanging out in the library. So that's what libraries mean to me.
That's good to hear.
And what comes to mind when you think about libraries, Ezekiel?
Well, I've always been really fortunate to live in places that had really big public libraries. I grew up in New Rochelle, and they had not only the huge public library in the middle of the city area, but they had one near Jack's Friendship Garden, which is a park near the high school. I have some very fond memories of going to the Jack's Friendship Garden library with my siblings as a really little one. I think libraries are a place where, especially for children and young people, to come together, like Amber said, and just engage with the materials, each other, the culture, just a good open space.
I'm happy to hear that the library is a sense of community for both of you all. I like that. So, I have some questions for you, Amber and Ezekiel. And be honest, this is not a test. We are not in class, even though we're out of college. It's not a test. We have many listeners who may have had the same thoughts, and we're going to discuss them today. So are you ready for our first question? We're going to bust these myths today.
Yay!
Okay, the first question. Libraries have a copy of every book. True or false?
False.
False, yeah, false. I don't know why I hesitated. No, it's false.
Professor Weber,
Yeah.
would you like to tackle that question and respond to their answer?
Sure. You're both correct. It's false.
Yes.
Some may think that that libraries do. I'd say the closest in America that has a copy of everything would be the Library of Congress. But their mission is different from ours. Every library has a slightly different mission, depending on what it is. That said, we might not have every copy, but we do have the ability to get books that we don't have, either through purchasing or through requesting it from another library. It's what they call interlibrary loan. Libraries have a lot of jargon, and along with that jargon, we also have acronyms. So when we say interlibrary loan or ILL, that's the way we sort of make the difference, or at least sort of speak to this expectation that we should have every book.
So, have you ever heard of the Library of Congress?
I have. I don't know that much about it, but I know it's like one of the most expansive, like having all the copies. That took so much to say. Yes.
Right? A repository.
Or a national library. National libraries
yes.
are common in like Europe or other parts of the globe. America doesn't really have one, but the Library of Congress sort of evolved into being a default national library.
Well, I'll just give you a little fact here. So the Library of Congress is actually the largest library in the world.
Whoa.
The largest library in the world. And it was founded in 1800 and is located in Washington, D.C. It houses millions of items, but it's not just only books. In various types of other sources. You have music, you have audio, you have films as well. But what's also interesting that's housed in the Library of Congress is the Gutenberg Bible. Have you heard of the Gutenberg Bible?
No, I have not heard of
What's
that.
that?
So what's so special about the Gutenberg Bible, you may ask, right?
We do.
We do, right? It was the first major printed book in Europe using movable metal type plates, which is a way of making books rather than, it's kind of moving away from that manuscript, which made books more accessible to people. So the Library of Congress houses the Gutenberg Library. So despite the Library of Congress's expansive collection of books and other materials, no library has every copy of every book, right? Especially in this world what we live in with self-publishing, and like you can get books on Amazon,
Yeah.
etc. You can publish, but the Library of Congress is the world's largest library with a tremendous amount of books, right? And other types of materials.
Okay. This question is for Amber. I can do, or are we making them, or are we posing these questions to both?
Whatever you want.
Okay, we're gonna pose the questions to both because that's what we did for the first one. We're gonna keep that up. So next question: I can do all my research using the internet. True or false?
This was actually one of my misconceptions that I was going to bring up later. You can't, or you can. Well, you can. Because I know at our library, if we say internet, are we thinking about like internet libraries? Because we can access like a lot of information through our library online. So are we
Yeah, that's
counting
what I was
that?
thinking too.
Yeah.
I guess, okay, here's a better, let me, you can do all your research through the World Wide Web.
No. I mean, you can find out how accurate are your sources going to be, you know?
Okay, so
Yeah,
accurate.
I think you're gonna need some books or like other resources.
Okay, so is there something special? Both those are good responses. And basically, yes, you can't do it all through the World Wide Web. And you touched on one thing, which was accuracy, correct? Mm-hmm. And you brought up books. Why books?
That's a good question. Just books are just more vetted. They're more accurate information, more processed information.
So they might have some more authority along with the
Yeah.
accuracy.
They
Like,
have to go through publishers and stuff. Like anyone can self-publish on like Wikipedia, but like not everyone can get like a publisher to like, or like a editor to look at their book and look through all their information, correct them, and then publish. So it has that extra step of like vetting your information and checking your sources. So like if you were to put Wikipedia in a full-fledged book in front of me, I would choose the book as a more accurate representation of like information.
those are both great responses. Along with that is sort of a notion of scholarly sources. So yes, most books in a library, if not all, like they go through some editing process. You know, they make decisions on publishing stuff. There's a responsibility because people or corporations are attaching their name to it. All is true with scholarly, but there's also additional rigor and review in what gets published. And that can be from a scholarly book, for like a university press, or what they also call scholarly journals. Have either of you used scholarly journals in your time here at WCC?
Yes, I think even like a few days ago, I did. I was doing a journalistic like writing piece about the conflict in Gaza, and I had to pull up a journal, a journal about the conflict. So yeah,
Do you remember the name of the journal?
I don't remember the name of the journal. I don't. But previous to that one, I did another paper for like my media writing class that was about AI psychosis, and that one I looked into the Journal of Psychosis and Mental Health. So that was the one that I used for that.
So journals, and I think sometimes people might forget, like a journal is not, these are not diaries. These are journals, and that there's a rigor in what is studied, researched, and reported on. And they come from every academic discipline has several journals. So like sounds like that one you were using for the psychosis one was a one from psychology or mental health. And so that is something, while you might be able to get like an abstract and a citation from a search online, the information isn't free, and these scholarly publishers definitely want their, what's a nice way, money? Dinero for the work, for the publishing. And while you can certainly find those from like a Google Scholar search or just an open web search, you can't necessarily get access to those things from a free web. And that's where the library comes in, because we have the budgets to get access to those articles and reports. And if we don't, just like with books, we can always ILL, interlibrary loan them as well.
You can interlibrary loan journals?
We can't necessarily get a whole journal, but often what will happen is when you're searching, you'll find this article that sounds like it meets all the needs or most of the needs for your research, and you're like, ooh, I want access to it, but you can't get it through the web, or we don't have it. Then we can reach out either to a nearby institution or a SUNY institution, or even a City of New York CUNY institution, and get access, if it's not too niche. But it is, as like Professor Mathurin likes to say, it's a global system. So, even if we can't find it nearby or within state, we can certainly go further afield to see if we can get access.
I just wanted to add that I like to tell students in what we have called information literacy classes, where we teach students how to find, utilize, and evaluate information in their research, that at the academic libraries, because there are different kinds of libraries, right? And each library has a different mission. So at the academic level, our mission is to meet the informational needs of students and other constituents at the college. So I like to tell students that you're scholars in training. So that means that you should have use diverse sources of information to support your research. It's kind of like you want to shop for the latest gadget or something, and you only go to one store to look for it. You wouldn't go to one store to look for the latest gadget. You might want to shop around and see what else is out there. So it's the same thing when you're doing research. You have to shop around because it gives you a better understanding of your research. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think another thing we touched on accuracy and authority. We also want a diversity, or a diverse group of opinions,
Yes.
or lenses to analyze issues or to research them. And that's another thing. You can certainly get those in the web, but then we have the issues back with accuracy and authority come into play.
So you actually got that one right. You should not do all of your research using internet sources.
Definitely not.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Professor Mathurin. Here's another question. I will be charged if items are returned late.
Yes,
I think so.
that's definitely true. I have been charged before at my public library for not. The fee was really small. It was like 20. It's like I think it's like 5 cents. It was like some amount of cents per day that I didn't, like, if I didn't bring it back over a certain. It was like I had a month of grace period, and then after that, if you still didn't, like, then it's like 5 cents every day, which is very reasonable. And I still ended up not returning it on time, but I paid my dues.
Well, you'll be happy to learn that you won't be charged for late items at the WCC library.
Yay!
Can you give us an air horn for that
Yeah.
one? I think we earned that. Perfect. So many libraries, including WCC, have started not charging for late returns. Libraries are free, and it's a barrier. I think there was always sort of a misconception that like library fines were like a money maker for us, which they never were. And they're really just more trouble than it's worth on a variety of fronts. That's not to say that like if you don't return an item, there isn't a consequence. If you've held it out for a long time, there might come a letter saying like, please return, or you're not going to get transcripts or something. But
I feel like that's a worse consequence than paying a due.
and that's also like after exhausting like all possibilities.
Yeah.
But again, that would be in old, when there were fines, there would be the fines and the replace. So that's taken out. And again, usually that will get people to return the item.
Yeah.
So-
I would return my item immediately.
So I just wanted to emphasize, the WCC Harold L. Drimmer Library does not charge late fees for unreturned items. However, that is not a license to return materials late, because at the same time, it deprives other patrons or library users from access to the information. So, I have the next question. With the rise of digital media, libraries are becoming more obsolete. True or false?
False.
False.
False, because it goes back to what I was saying before, what me and Ezekiel were saying before, where libraries aren't just a space for books and stuff. It's like also it's a space for people to be together, people to get information and stuff, and like having like taking time to like go outside and go to this place. So
I think the term is social infrastructure.
yeah, social infrastructure.
And you both are correct. So libraries are not being replaced by the digital age. We've actually adapted to the digital age. So we are beyond the four walls that exist within the library. We have our physical space that meets the community's social needs, that social infrastructure. We have our physical materials like our books, our types of multimedia, whatever that looks like, because we do have some DVDs still on our shelves, journals, newspapers, etc., etc. But we also have other types of materials as well. So our physical spaces are not just restricted to what's here, but we're also available online. So on the library website, library.sunywcc.edu. Should I say it again, Professor Weber?
Sure.
library.sunywcc.edu. You can find a vast amount of additional resources that you can access at the library, which we'll talk about later on. So we're not replaced by, but we have adapted and evolved to the digital age.
Can I just go off script for a little bit?
Yes.
But it's related to this.
Yeah.
What's a non-book, non-movie item that, and also not a computer, that students can check out or use in the library? Like a sort of non-traditional item.
So not a calculator.
Correct.
I literally would not know. I was thinking maybe headphones, but I don't know if can you check out headphones here?
We give them away.
Oh, interesting.
One per semester per student. One.
That's 3. I mean, I'm no mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that's 3. What I'm fishing for is we have chess sets.
Oh,
I don't know if people know that.
yeah.
And you can-
My sister used to play chess a lot as a kid. So, she would play chess at our library that we lived by. Yeah.
And we might have some games coming up in a month,
Yes.
but more on that later. And also, just like while there are shifts in digital, and we do still have some DVDs, we also have several streaming film databases, both nonfiction, documentary, but also films that you can access through our resources.
That's sick.
Yeah,
Really cool.
let's do applause for that.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to ask the next one. And I can thank you. It's like I'm Ron Burgundy. Put words in front of me, and I'm going to read them. Anyway, okay. Next question. Audiobooks don't count as reading. True or false?
I don't know. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I find it hard to concentrate. I have ADHD, and physically looking at the words sometimes it's not gonna work on time for me to do my classes, so I'll do an audiobook and get that. But I don't know if that counts as reading.
What about you, Amber?
Can you restate the question?
Audiobooks don't count as reading.
Audiobooks do count as reading. I think it's a little bit different. It's kind of like when you're listening to a podcast, you're getting the information. But audiobooks, my professor, Linda Kafayan, she's a voice and diction teacher. She emphasizes the importance of voice actors acting out books, and how there's a stigma of against you read you listen to audiobooks. It is reading. You're still getting that same information if you had read it, but the process is different, and you're getting a little bit extra acting and pizzazz is how I would feel about it. But it's here or there. You're listening rather than reading actually yourself. But I think it still has value as a source of media.
Professor Mathern, do you want to answer that?
Sure. Audiobooks definitely count. So Ezekiel, we appreciate your honesty, because a lot of times that is a point of confusion because of the way that the information is received and what we think reading is. So audiobooks definitely count. Different people absorb information in different ways. That's what you were saying, Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Someone wouldn't tell a visually impaired person that reading in Braille doesn't count, or tell a deaf person that watching someone use sign language to sign lyric doesn't count as a musical experience. So it's kind of the equivalent, how we access that information. Whether it's graphic novel, audiobooks, flipping through magazines, reading a newspaper, or listening to an audiobook via Bluetooth-capable hearing aid devices, it all counts as reading. So special shout out to Professor Kalfayan for imparting that and instilling that in her students.
Yes.
That was great.
She's awesome.
Yes.
We even have in the Com Central area, we have a whole space that's a voice and diction lab, or a speech lab, where students can practice hearing themselves talk and read out loud, and getting more expertise and using your voice as a tool. So yes, she's the best.
Yeah, she's great.
Well, so thank you, Amber and Ezekiel. I hope our talk sheds some light on some misconceptions about libraries. You see, libraries are more than books, where libraries demand silence. Libraries are hubs for the evolving role of technology in our lives, from dynamic study spaces equipped with smart boards to lending beyond traditional materials such as calculators, laptops, keyboards, and chess sets, to podcast studios such as the one we are in now at the library. Libraries are, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say.
Are essential to meeting the information needs of society.
Applause, please.
Yay!
So Ezekiel and Amber, did you have any myths or misconceptions that you like to discuss?
I had a few, so I asked around to some friends beforehand, what are some things that you've heard about libraries, or you think about libraries when you think, of going to a library. And one of them were the whole misconception that librarians are mean, that you see in movies a lot, where there's shh, shh, be quiet in the library. But I don't believe that because the librarians here at WCC are so nice. I don't know her name specifically. Yes. They're so nice.
Except when we're pointing for applause.
But yeah, that librarians are mean. That's a misconception from movies that I've seen.
Yeah. No, we're very friendly, and I'm not saying that because we're librarians, but we appreciate and want to serve our students, so it wouldn't really meet our mission if we were mean, right? The students graduate, and they always come back. They always come back. So we appreciate serving the students, and you all bring joy to the work that we do.
Yeah. Summertime, it's kind of, I like to say, tumbleweed city around here. But, first day of classes, and then suddenly, it's like being reborn. It's like our springtime. It's like when we sort of get more energy, and we get it because there are students here, and they need help, and they want to learn, and we're here for their journey.
Just like you.
Yay!
Just like us.
There's a lot of applause.
Yeah.
There's never too much applause, okay?
I'm really late on these cues. I'm like hitting it in
Just
a minute after.
consider it practice. Or maybe you need a cue station
Yeah, just
over at the
running it.
communications lab
Yeah.
where you can do the hits.
Yeah. Oh, we have one. Don't worry, guys. We have a roadcaster too. I'll practice. So
I've
come
been
back.
over there. That studio.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. That's my baby. I'm in there 24/7.
Nice.
Yeah. Ezekiel, did you have any myths or perceptions that you had about the library?
Perceptions that I have about the library. The only thing I can really think of is the fact that librarians here can help with research, which I didn't know. I think that's most people don't know that. And it's a common conception that you won't be able, if you're not good at research, you have to use AI or find some sort of way to cheat around it. But I think that there's better ways, and you can find them here.
Great. Has that changed since you started recently working at the library? That concept?
I didn't use AI before, but I definitely struggled with research, and I have been meaning to talk to a librarian about helping me develop my research skills. I haven't gotten around to it, but
Yeah, that's something I also struggle with research. I think I was really good at it for my first 2 semesters, and then I went to summer and I had a job and I was having the time of my life. And now I came back this semester and I suddenly don't know how to research anything anymore. But especially now with journalism and doing papers for media writing, I have to be very articulate and very investigative with my research process and know the information deeply. And so that's something I'm struggling with, and I'm getting better at it every day, but I do think asking for help is never a bad thing, and the fact that our library provides that is a very important thing.
Okay, I have one more question, just based on what you both said. So, what are some ways to get help from a librarian?
there's the online chat thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any other ways?
I'm not particularly sure, but I'm assuming that you can come in and ask hi, I'm doing a paper on this. Is there any sources that we have in the library, or is there anywhere I can find anything about this topic? Yeah, just coming in and asking.
Correct. There's always a librarian at the front. They're also monitoring the chat. We can also start a Zoom session while we're in chat. It's really easy. I just click a button. The user clicks a button, and it takes us right into the Zoom. You do not have to be camera ready, but you do have to be research ready. And as I like to joke, give us your undivided attention. So if you're on the job and, we're going to suggest a Zoom, I've had students say they'll know I'm not working. I'm like, yeah, because You have to give us your time. I've had students in classes like hit us up on chat, and I'm like, let's Zoom. They're like, no, I have to listen to my professor again. Just give us your undivided attention. You can also call us on the phone. Sometimes people just work better hearing the voice and not typing everything out. We also have a text message line, which can also work, but just realize you only get about, I think, 200 characters or so per message. So sometimes, again, talking on the phone or just come face to face. But
I'll just share the text number for our audience.
which is on the library website that was already shared.
914-861-3315. That's to text the librarian.
Okay. And I had one last question. This is less a misconception, but more of a question or like an interest of mine. Because as a kid, I was really interested in like becoming a librarian. And now I'm less into that, and I like production a lot. But as a kid, I thought you can only become a librarian if you studied English and got your master's in English. Is that true or false?
Big false. In fact, there's jobs where they look specifically for people with at least a bachelor's background in something other than English. Like my background's anthropology, social science. So and I at least got a library related job because I had that. You do have to get a master's in library science, but they want, especially for academic libraries, like a diverse knowledge base for people's backgrounds. But I think there's a myth or a tendency where people who are drawn to the profession have a background in English. And certainly in public libraries, loving books and loving to read books is a big part of the job, probably a little bigger than in academic libraries.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
What exactly is library science?
It's definitely not a hard science. They call it library and information science. So there's, and Professor Mathern, you're going to get to jump into this one as well. It's one part how information's organized. So like we have like our like in academic libraries, Library of Congress, but in public libraries, Dewey Decimal. Mm-hmm. Not just the number, but also like how, like when you're on the library website, how information's cataloged and classified. And then another part is information seeking behavior and helping people along with that. And then there's just, sort of like managing libraries, programming libraries. You want to jump in?
No, I was just going to add, in terms of just to tie everything together, that there's different kinds of libraries again, and each library has its niche specialty. So you might have a law library, you might have a medical library, and these type of libraries attract individuals with backgrounds in various fields. Maybe the conception that English majors are attracted to the field is because librarians just read books and fiction books and those kind of things. But it's more than just reading books. There's a science to it. As Professor Weber said, how information is organized, understanding how to extract the information that the user is seeking. There's a science behind when a student comes to the desk and they say, I'm writing this paper on this topic. We're trained to actually know how to conduct what's called a reference interview to help guide you to the information that you need. So what you see at the end is the result of a lot of other scientific processes that are involved in library science.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was the last question that I had.
Oh, anything else?
No, not for me.
Well, you did give me an idea because you mentioned AI. Maybe that'll be the next library podcast. Who knows where that will go? But
Do we have like a robot sound in there?
We actually, one second. Yeah, wait. Dog?
Um,
Why is it not doing it?
The audio. Your audio is. You have the audio up for the.
oh boy. Okay. Well, this has been Robot Josh.
But yeah, we do have a robots around.
Yeah, so maybe the next one might be about AI. Who knows?
Cool.
So I just want to thank you all for participating in this first library podcast. It was a very exciting experience, and it was very beneficial, not only for us, but for you and other students to hear about what we do at libraries, answer some of your questions as well, and bust some of those myths. So I just wanted to leave you with 2 interesting facts. Did you know that library cards are more popular than credit cards?
That's super interesting. I have like
As
2
they
library
should.
cards. Yeah. So
Because you can get a library card at any age.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily get one as a credit card as a
Yeah.
child,
There we
right?
go.
you can't be
Right?
5 years old with a
Yeah.
credit card buying
And
toys.
also, did you know that your WCCID card is your library card?
Yes, I did know
Yes,
that.
that is your passport to all things library. And that gives you access, as we mentioned, to our virtual spaces and physically to enter the library. So we just encourage you to continue to use the library as your community space, as your research needs. And as you mentioned, research is not only for academic studies. Research also transcends into your career. Research never, ever ends, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your occupation is, it continues with you. So we just encourage you to continue to be inquisitive and seek the library for help. Okay. Professor Weber, anything else?
No, again, thank you for joining us. You both had some great questions. I didn't think I was going to have to talk about library and information science, and it was enjoyable. And yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I look forward to the next one.
Thank you. This has been the Library Podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode.